everyone. Today we're gonna try to make Russian cheese pancakes. It's called sirniki. I usually like to make this for my daughter. It's a healthier option because there's not as much flour in the recipe as American traditional pancakes are. They're pretty straightforward, easy to make. It's a great breakfast option. Sometimes you could use it for dinner as well. We're gonna need to use farmer's cheese. So we usually use a pound of this. You can use any type of farmer cheese. I prefer the Amish. It's non-fat. You could use regular fat. That's an option for you. We're gonna use 2 eggs, which we have right here. Then we're gonna use flour. You can use regular plain flour. You could do whole wheat flour, which I like to do is the gluten-free. I actually order this from Fresh Direct. You can pick it up at Trader Joe, I think, as well. You will need salt. You will need sugar. And some oil for frying. The oil that you use, it's not recommended to use the olive oil only because it's very heavy and it's gonna give an aftertaste, which the kids sometimes can pick up. So I usually stick to the grapeseed oil. It's very light, it's healthier, and you don't taste it. The other options, you could do canola oil or vegetable oil, whichever one you have in the house. So we're gonna start. So to start, we're gonna take the pound of the farmer's cheese. I'm gonna put it in a bowl, and we're just gonna crumble it a little bit with a fork. This Amish one is actually pretty soft, as you can see, so you don't really need to do much work here. If you buy a harder cheese, you might have to break it up a little bit with the fork. Now what we're gonna do is add the 2 eggs right in with it and gently mix the whole thing together. Okay. Now we're gonna add in a 1/2 cup of flour, which we're gonna do right now. But like I said, you can use whichever flour you have in the house. It doesn't have to be gluten-free. The choice is up to you. You could do whole wheat, you could do regular. I'm gonna do 1/2 cup. We're just gonna pour it in. There we go. And we're gonna slowly mix it in together. You could use a spatula for this. I usually just tend to use a fork. It's whatever you guys prefer. Now in addition to this, we're gonna put in a 1/4 cup of sugar. I used the regular, Domino sugar. You could do brown sugar for this. That's a 1/4 cup of sugar. And I'm gonna do 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I usually eyeball the salt. And we're just gonna continue mixing it in. Now the batter, when you make it for these, it's not watery the way pancakes are. It does have to be on the thicker side. It's gonna be more like dough butter. You can also add into this, if you want, chocolate chips. You could add raisins. If you do add extra stuff into the batter, I would say adjust the sugar based on what you're adding in. You don't want them to be overly sweet. So this is the final look for the batter once everything is mixed in. You see it's on the thicker side. It's supposed to stick to your fork a little bit. Now we're gonna start getting ready to fry it. So you have on the side 1/3 cup of flour. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a little bit of the batter, we're gonna form it into a bowl shape, flatten it out, dredge it in the flour, and then put it on the plate before we fry it up. So on the stove, I do have the frying pan already. We're gonna put some oil and heat it up. Okay, so we're gonna use a tablespoon to pull out the batter. Even a little less than a tablespoon. You're gonna flatten it out in your hand. So, it'll look something like this. And what you're gonna do, this is just, again, same flour. You're gonna dredge it in the flour from both sides. This way it's not gonna stick to the frying pan. Shake off any excess flour. I'm gonna put it on the plate to rest as a frying pan is heating up. So again, you're gonna take some, you're gonna flatten them out, put it again in the flour, make sure you dredge it well, covered from all sides, this way they don't fall apart in the frying pan. Shake off anything extra, and we're gonna stick it on the plate in the meantime, and we're gonna continue with them. You can make them as thick and as big as you'd like. Again, for my 2-year-old, I prefer this size because she likes it better, and they don't go bad if she doesn't eat the whole thing. So she could have 1 or 2 of this. They're not too thick, so she actually prefers the taste. But try it out with your kids and see what they like. You can make adjustments as you need to. And like I said, you can add in a lot of things into it because it is just farmer's cheese. So you can put in some chocolate chips. Typically in the Russian recipe, they use raisins for it, the dark raisins. But if you use them, just adjust the sugar amount. I would probably go maybe with a little bit more than a 1/4 cup sugar. I wouldn't use a whole 1/2 cup. They'll be too sweet. And then once they're fried up, you can use jam on them. You can put syrup. You can do powdered sugar. You could do sour cream. Anything that you would like. This one came out a little bit bigger than the other ones. And from 1 pound, you can see that we're making quite a few of them. So this should be enough for the whole family. Out of the pound batter that we made, pound of the cottage cheese, we got about 17 little cheese pancakes. So the frying pan is warming up and we're gonna start frying them up. You wanna make sure that you don't overcrowd the frying pan, same way that I did it in the plate. So you wanna do a batch of maybe 3 or 4. I'm gonna show you right now. So we're just gonna add them. Make sure you separate them. So I think we're gonna stick to 4 at a time for now. Just lower the heat a little bit so they don't burn too quick. And we want to wait until they're golden brown. If you guys can see. This is the color that you want to get them to. So this is the first side. We flip them once. And we're going to flip them over one more time. And just give it like another minute or 2 on the sides. And maybe 1 more flip. And you see, we try to keep them separate. You don't want to put them too close together so they don't stick. And it's on a medium fire, not too high. So again, you place them on the frying pan. Make sure you have enough of a distance between them. You want to leave them for about 3 to 4 minutes per side so they get a nice brown color. Try not to flip them before because they will fall apart. And these are the ones that we just took off. I usually place them on a Bounty just to drain the excess oil off it. You don't want your kids eating extra oil. So again, the fire is medium low, and you just let them rest about 3 to 4 minutes before we flip them. So this is the final product. Like I said, we made about 17 of these little pancakes out of 1 pound of cottage cheese. And I hope you guys try them and enjoy them. And come back to see other recipes that we have put up. Thank you. Bye.